Welcome back to Tiny Grimes Games, and I'm here with another Star Wars Destiny video. And that's right, spoiler week continues. FFG dropped a new article. As of the time of recording this video, they've pulled it, but you know, the way how the internet works is once you release something, it's there. So we're going to go ahead and talk about the cards that are spoiled. I'm sure the article will be up again soon if it's not already. And we're going to start with what I think is one of the most impactful cards spoiled today, and one of the most impactful cards in the whole Spirit of Rebellion set. And I'm so excited to say it's C3PO. He's actually going to be good. Basically, don't even look at his dice. They're irrelevant. That's what I love about C3PO. He has for only one cost support action, remove this die to resolve one of your dice as if it were showing a different symbol. It keeps its original value. So this is the card that I've been talking about. I really want a card that basically says it doesn't really matter what you roll, you have flexibility. And you can't have too many cards like that, otherwise the game doesn't function properly. But it's so great to have a card out like this that basically says, oh, I rolled garbage again. But wait, I have C3PO. I can make that actually say something else. What's so cool about it is it doesn't work perfectly on, say, high damage characters. Let's say you have Luke Skywalker and you want that 3 so bad and you roll him and it's a 1 of something else. Well, resolving 3PO and getting 1 damage out of Luke isn't that great, right? So for the one spot of rolling big damage characters and praying for damage, 3PO doesn't fix that, which I'm actually okay with. I love the fact that this is an incredibly flexible card. It does all kinds of cool things. First of all, it turns cards that don't normally do damage into huge damage dealers if you want. I was looking at a couple examples of this. One of them is Diplomatic Immunity. That card gives you piles of shields, right? 3 shields, 4 shields. What if you have C3PO out? Suddenly it's this card that can do 3-4 damage, 3-4 focus, 3-4 mill. It lets you basically turn any card into whatever you want it to be, which is crazy. My mind is just still racing because it just got spoiled with all the different possibilities. You could simply do this. You could say, okay, I'm going to run 3PO and Awakenings and just run tons of modifiers and not care. Because if it's a modifier, 3PO can flip that to be just a regular. So let's say it's a jetpack is a great example. It has a +2, a +3 range. If you roll either of those, you can make it a regular range. You say, I'll resolve 3PO and do a regular 3 with the jetpack. Or the 2 shields, oh, that becomes 2 damage. So he's so good at fixing cards like that. What he's really amazing with his cards with specials also. So now you can get in the spot where you roll out your Force Throw, you roll out your 3PO. Guess what? Force Throw's always basically showing a special. You can always just go, I'll make it a special and Force Throw you. Or better yet, Cunning. Oh my goodness. Cunning only has that one special side, and I feel like it really kind of holds that card back. But with 3PO, you roll out your Cunning, you roll out your 3PO. All you have to do is resolve 3PO's die, and you get to trigger any special on the board. There are just so many crazy things. One with the Force becomes what was already a great card, right? Just already a great card. It does whatever you want. Literally does whatever you want now. I need 3 mills. Okay, no problem. I need 3 damage. No problem. It's just so good. Launch Bay? Launch Bay is insane now. Whatever you need is what it's showing. I just can't get over how mind-boggling this change is and how nutso 3PO is. By the way, 3PO does have some dice. He's got a die. A focus, a mill, 2 resources. And I love that. I absolutely love that he has 2 resources. That's so cool. So it's kind of like, well, I actually need resources this turn. I rolled well. I'll just resolve 3PO for some resources. I'm trying to think about the amount of times I'm actually going to resolve 3PO for his die, and it's going to be real low. It also fixes a number of characters and makes them better. Rey suddenly gets a lot better with 3PO. She has all those plus sides. They're suddenly not really plus sides. Han Solo becomes even better. So now he's, a 2, a 3, and a 2 because he's got that 2 disrupt. So, that could become damage. He kind of has 3 damage sides now. The Millennium Falcon. The Millennium Falcon has so much going on now. It's insane. It was already great. Lone Operative, I think, is one of these cards that becomes really good. And it was already really good. And we haven't really talked about Lone Operative much because it's just pretty new. But look at how good this card becomes. It has the 2 specials, so if you needed to heal, then you were fine. But if for some reason you really needed the damage on this one, or you really needed the mill, or you really needed the heal, let's say you just have to heal, this card can always heal because you can always make it the special. I don't know, 3PO seems like he is the good player's dream, right? Just the dream that I no longer have to just roll and hope. I can have a very detailed plan of, okay, I need to have my force throw out before this character rolls, so I need to claim the battlefield. Then I roll the force throw, and then I'm going to be able to 3PO, or it's just so many different options that you have available to you. I am so very excited to not only have this effect, but have it be on C3PO. It's so cool. I'm going to tell you this right now. When I'm running red, I will be running 1 copy of Surgical Strike for C3PO. That's how good I think he is. I think he's a game changer. I think he makes Red Hero good. I think Red Hero totally shifted, right? Red Hero was I'm going to roll damage and hope I get ranged. And what I'm really hoping for is that you're a moron and you roll ranged into me so I can hit the trap and kill whoever I want. It felt like a very high ceiling, low floor kind of deck. Poe's the same way. Poe can be bonkers and Poe can be garbage. Well, with 3PO, Poe's always great. I still can't get over how awesome this card is. It is amazing. And I want to skip to the other card that I think makes Red Hero so good now. And that's Planetary Uprising. We thought this is what Planetary Uprising was going to say when we saw the partial spoiler. But for 2, you get a support that says, after you claim the battlefield, force an opponent to deal 2 damage to their characters distributed as they wish. That's Palpatine's effect from his die, and you get this every time you claim the battlefield. So, there's already a deck that goes like this. I roll Poe. One of the dice was damage. I'll resolve that. The other one is a blank. I will trigger Throne Room as my next action and Mind Probe you for 4 and move on. Well, if you have Planetary Uprising on the battlefield, this becomes even stronger. Now it's not just the 3 or 4 that you get off Poe's ability, but it's 2 to the other character also. I think Planetary Uprising is totally insanely good. I'm happy it costs 2. At 1, it would be just ridiculous because it'd be a no-brainer first turn. What I love about it is that not a lot of decks want to play this turn 1. Like you need to play this turn 1 if you're playing it. But if you do, it sets you way back. It's all of your resources for the first turn. You can't play any upgrades probably. So I really like that about Planetary Uprising. But dang, that card is so good. It's going to be really fun. It's going to really be an interesting card because I feel like Spirit of Rebellion is going to be much more divergent than Awakening was. Awakenings, I always felt like I could take the battlefield. I don't care how fast my opponent's deck is. You're playing Vader Raider? If I need to, I can take the battlefield. I'll have to leave a couple dice on the board, but I can take it. But with fast hands and 4 speed and stuff like this, there are going to be decks that are so fast that the not fast decks, I think, are going to run really slow. I think they're just going to say, screw it. I'm not a fast deck, so I'm not even going to try. I'm going to go the whole other way. And I'm going to run R2-D2 and C3PO and maybe BB-8 and some other supports and do all kinds of slow stuff. So Planetary Uprising is going to be a really interesting card in, can it keep up with a fast hands deck? Do you have to run fast hands in it to make sure you can do it? Fast hands on Poe sounds really strong to me, right? You roll Poe, you fast hands the 1 that you roll to immediately get it, and then your very next action is just claim, do a bunch of damage, and then Planetary Uprising and pray that they don't have something crazy to come back at your face. I don't know. It's going to be a really interesting look at the meta, but this card is phenomenal. Okay, now we're just going to go through the rest of them sort of in order. I just wanted to start there because Because if I'm evaluating red hero cards, everything is going to be evaluated through that lens. Baze Malbus. Crack shot. They have no idea what to call him. Irrelevant hero. I don't know. Due to the big gun. Those would all work. He's got 11 health. So, well, we need to start here, though. His cost. 1418. He costs Poe. He is Poe. So, if you're going to say we're going to cost this dude at Poe's level, here we go. He's Poe. Let's compare. He has 1 less health. He's worse than Poe. There, in that way. Okay. All right, that's no problem. The dice could be way better. A 2 and a 3, just like Poe. Ooh, a +2. That's way better than Poe. Poe does not have a +2, so far he's better than Poe. His ability, garbage. I mean, that ability is really bad. Deal 1 damage to each of an opponent's characters. That is nearly irrelevant. Many times it's just going to say do 2 damage, basically, 1 to 2 different characters, and a lot of time late games just deal a damage. So what would you rather have, I guess, is the question. Would you rather have Poe's special, which is bonkers good, or would you rather have a +2 and a terrible special? For me, it's Poe's special all day, every day. But maybe Baze fits into some heavy red weapon deck. I mean, it's possible. With Poe, generally you're not playing as many weapons. You're trying to do really fast action economy. I don't know. I don't like Baze. I think he's awful. I think he fits a trend of way overcosted characters in Spirit of Rebellion. Both sides. Spirit of Rebellion has way undercosted characters and way overcosted characters. I think he's nearly unplayable. Especially, oh my goodness, I just assumed he was rare. He's a legendary? What are they doing? Oh god, okay. If you open Baze, I'm really sorry. I'm really sorry. That was a bad beat you got. Hopefully you won't open Baze. We're just gonna go with that. Oh, poor Baze, he's terrible. All right, next we have Mon Mothma, skilled politician. She's 1114, so it's cool. We have another leadership target. That's great, but she's not the cheapest one, so it's a little less great. But if we're gonna look at her, we have to compare her to Akbar. Akbar is only 1014, so she is slightly more than Akbar. So what makes her slightly better? Her dice are interesting. It's basically the same die as Akbar, except for 1 more focus instead of 1 more gun, which, I mean, I don't play Akbar for his gun, so I'm okay with that part. She has the same health at 9. Her ability in the short term seems substantially weaker, but long term could feasibly be better. After you play an event, you may re-roll a die of the same color as that event. I don't think that's terribly relevant right now. I think that'll be potentially very relevant in the future when you are when you have more access to a wider variety of events. It's easier to play a monocolored deck. Where I think it could be really interesting is somebody like Jyn Erso, who has that ability to lower the cost of events. So if she's lowering the cost of yellow events, maybe you're playing more yellow events. Electroshock as a free event sounds really good. Negotiate for free sounds really good. So maybe it's going to be relevant in that deck. I kind of feel like Mon Mothma is not going to see play unless there's a spot for her. I think she's really interestingly costed, so she just barely cannot work with Elite Luke, or I believe Elite Jyn is also 20. I'm going to look right now. Elite Jyn is also 20, yeah. So, boy, she would be terrible. Could you imagine that deck? Non-Elite Jyn, non-Elite Mon Mothma. Oh, my God, that sounds bad. So, I don't think she's going to see play right now. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there will be a spot where you can exactly slot in 11. And in that spot, I think she is a little bit better than Akbar, if you're going dice-wise. Having 2 focus on 1 character is really strong. She doesn't synergize that well with 3PO because she only has 1 side that is more than 1, so that makes me a little bit nervous about her. I'm overall not impressed with her, but maybe she will end up being good. Rebel Commando. 10 cost, 10 health. So we're looking at the Death Trooper numbers. Very interesting card. Not Death Trooper damage at only a 1 and a 2. And then it has a mill side, which feels really weird. and then has the resource, and then has a special you have to pay for. But you get to remove an opponent's die. It's an absurdly good special. But it's only the one side of the special. So if you're playing Rebel Commando for that special, maybe not the best idea. Plus you have to pay for it each time. So it's like having a whole handful of electroshocks or something. I don't know what to say exactly about this card. It's interesting, right? At 10 cost, it's a little high for a non-unique, but at the same time, it packs a lot of health. So you could already run, a 3 Rebel Commando meat sacks deck where you have 30 health, you've got some control, you've got some damage, you've got some... It's such a weird card because it kind of violates what FFG said they were trying to push towards with this set, which was more dedicated cards. This card is so all over the place. I don't know what to say about it because it's so all over the place. We're going to really have to do the math on this one and see what could we build for 10. It would certainly, anywhere you could put a single Akbar, this card fits in. So I don't know. This one to me is a mystery. We're going to have to wait and see. It's an interesting card. I love the remove an opponent's die side, but a 1 and 2 damage, I don't know. I'm a bit lost on that one. Okay. Next up is, oh man, craziest card in the set, the rocket launcher. Oh my goodness, this thing for a 3 cost has a 3 damage, a 3 damage, a 4 damage, and a bonker special. Deal 2 damage up to 2 different characters is great. Discard a vehicle from play is straight nuts because, remember that meta where it was all ATSTs? Oh, you don't? That's right, you don't, because it never existed and it never will now because rocket launcher's on the scene. However, Hyperloop giving you problems? Hyperloop's keeping you down? Boom! Rocket launcher, discard it, shoot right out of the sky. So, rocket launcher is nutso. It costs a buck for every side it has for the rest of time. So this is a very expensive upgrade. It's more like a 5, 6, 7 cost upgrade. But dang, look at those sides. Oh my. This is going to see play, period. It's going to be probably one of the more sought after upgrades in the set. You might look at it for 3 and go, oh, 3, it's a little bit out of my range. But remember, with Imperial Inspection around, hitting everything 2 or less, 3 is kind of the sweet spot now. 2, I feel like 2 is temporary. 2 is something that you're using to upgrade over because 2s don't hang around. I think Imperial Inspection is going to be everywhere. And you're going to need to be worried about it. So a 3 feels real good. And it's neutral, so it goes in both sides. I mean, I think this goes with FN really well. We talked about him last time. FN is a beast. You just put this on FN, immediately roll it out, do 3 damage, then roll FN out, then do 3 more damage. I mean, it's a crazy gun. It's going to be everywhere. You're going to want 2 of them. If you open one, be happy. This thing's bananas good. All right. Next up, we have R2-D2, our friendly little R2 unit. And I'm kind of mad. I like R2-D2 better than 3PO. I mean, 3PO is kind of fun. But R2 is my favorite droid. Maybe Chopper is my favorite now. I don't know. He's got a lot of attitude. But R2-D2 is probably my favorite. And he's fine. But 2 costs for this seems too much. This feels like a 1.5. And remember, we've talked about this quite a bit. Anytime a card feels rounded up, generally it feels kind of ugh. And when it's rounded down, it feels really good. If R2 was 1, I would look at this card and go, dang, this is pretty darn good. But at 2, I'm like, oh, I don't know about that. It's a slow card because it's support. C3PO fixes problems, right? Like, okay, I got screwed. Hey, that's fine. 3PO fixes my problems. Which, by the way, feels like an R2 scenario, right? Like, R2 fixes problems. 3PO does not. All right, but that's neither here nor there. So R2's ability, his best part is basically his special. Resolve one of your dice, increasing its value by 1. Which is good. That's never a bad thing, right? You can always increase something by 1, but what it doesn't do is fix the problem. If, let's say you're showing disrupt and it's a 2, making it a 3 when you don't need disrupt doesn't do anything for you. Most sides, though, it will be helpful. Doing 1 more damage is fine. Doing 1 more resource is a lot, actually. Getting an extra focus is a lot. So he's okay. Like I said, if he was 1, he would see play. The problem with supports is they're really, really slow. But as we already talked about, because of fast hands, because of Planetary, Uprising, the meta may be so fast that you just say, screw it. I'm running R2. I'm running 3PO. They're good cards. I don't care that they're slow because I can't win the battlefield anyway. It doesn't matter. I tend to think we're not going to see a lot of R2-D2, and that really saddens me. I wish the effects were switched, but oh well, here we are. R2, fine card. Support, a little too slow, a little too costly, but who knows? We may see it. I'm hoping we do. All right, this was from the last one. I just missed it. We have them now. 2 costs, play only if you control the battlefield. More battlefield stuff. Villain, that's too bad. Turn up to 4 of your dice sides to sides showing damage. Ow. That is really strong. So for only 2, you get to fix all your dice. The problem with that is if they have mitigation, if they have a block, if they have a dodge, then you're just blown out. And we have other cards like It's a Trap that are cheaper and do this better. So the question is going to be, does this go in decks? I kind of think it is. So boy, if you get in a spot where you think you can pull this off, you just win. This is basically a I win card. I win, right? Like you have Dooku and any red character you want, and it's at the end of the game. It doesn't seem to say spot, right? So they've killed the red character. Dooku has 2 dice and 3 lightsabers and rolls them all out, and they're not that great. And then you play this and you turn it to, like the 2, a +3 and a 3 for 1. And your opponent just goes, you win? So, I don't know. I think this is going to be really interesting. It's kind of like a way better but way slower version of No Mercy. So, I don't know. I think it's going to be really strong, though. I have a feeling this will win a lot of games. And I also have a feeling it will make a lot of people angry when they turn all their dice and then they get blocked. But yeah, I think it's a really strong card. All right. What are we looking at next? Here we go. The emergency evacuation. Remove all the dice for an absurdly high number. No, we're not going to see this play much. This is a oh no button, but the most expensive one that I've ever seen. I can't imagine people playing this, but I mean, if you got a deck that makes a pile of money and goes kind of fast, let's say, for instance, you have Jabba with double fast hands and you're a mill deck, right? And so you're going to mill your opponent, no problem. And you're playing some slow stuff like Underworld Connections just to get money, or Unkar Plut. And then you have plenty of money and you do your mill and you just wait. You let them roll all their stuff out and then boop, remove all the dice because you've already used yours. I don't know. Maybe. I'm not totally sold on that, though. I don't think that'll see play. I think it's just way too expensive. 4 is a lot. Friendly Fire. A hero card. 2. Spot a red character. Okay. Must be good then. For 2 and spot a character. Remove an opponent's die showing range damage to deal that damage to a character. Interesting. So it's basically a more expensive deflect that does more damage. What makes deflect so good is it only costs 1. 2 is a lot. I don't think I'll be playing this too much, except for in a couple of reasons. If it's a range meta, then I would. I mean, we got another Django spot where it was. Remember when it was Django everywhere all the time? Yeah, this is an auto clue 2 of. The other thing is we're gonna have to see, with all the options available, is red still screwed when it comes to damage mitigation? If they are, this is probably one of in every deck. If they have other options, I have a feeling this is a worse option than a lot of other options. But if they don't have options, then the worst option may be the option. So it's going to be interesting to see. It will see some play. I don't think it's going to be Light the World on Fire. Guerrilla Warfare. This to me is one of the more interesting cards in the set. And I know this doesn't sound weird, but it's only 0. It has Ambush, and it's a direct burn card. Burn cards are really good, and when you can, and I know this one is low impact. You have to remove one of your red dice, but remember, it can be a terrible one, to deal 1 damage to a character. So that's really, really low impact. But when you stack all those effects, let's say you have Planetary Uprising, you're running it with blue, and you have Willpower, and maybe you have Riposte, and you have a bunch of shields. It's just when you can stack direct damage is when you really start to hum. This is one of the reasons why Vader Raider is so good. You have backup muscle, you have Force Strike. These sort of direct damage out of nowhere cards make life very difficult. Fight Dirty is another great example. So this is basically like a really terrible version of all those cards, but it has Ambush and it's free, and so it fits in really well with a deck that wants to claim really fast or that just wants to do direct damage to the face, and the 1 die that they didn't hit, well, now it is. So it's going to be one of these cards that I think at first will get overlooked and people will say, oh, that doesn't do much at all. I think there's going to be a deck, though, that ends up playing this card, and it ends up having a pretty sneaky role, and it's going to kill people. This 1 card will kill people, several people. It's going to be a spot where you're like, yes, woo, they only have the 1 die left. It's Mon Mothma. It can't do damage. I squeaked out this turn. All I got to do is get the battlefield, move on. I might be okay. Oh, Guerrilla Warfare, I'm dead. Great. All right. Next card on the list is going to be Training. Training is interesting. Training is really interesting. Thank goodness it says the words non-unique red character only. So you can only do this on a non-unique red. And it's neutral. So it's fairly limiting. It's, let's see, what are we looking at? Commando, the dude with Guardian. We're looking at a regular Stormtrooper, and we're looking at the Death Trooper so far. So far. With every set, this gets better and better. But it basically makes a character elite for only 2. So what you're looking at is that dude's die good enough to want another one for 2? I don't know. Like, it doesn't have redeploy, right? It's not a weapon where you can figure out, like, oh, this is a huge damage weapon. And somebody like the Death Trooper, this is really, really strong because his dice are so consistent. I feel like on the Stormtrooper, it's pretty good as well. On someone like the Commando, I don't know. The Commando's so weird. If you're playing him for his special, then maybe. The other thing, it gets hit by Imperial Inspection, and that's going to feel really bad when you spent 2 to make a dude elite, and then they just yank it off, and you're like, ugh, thanks, man. So, I don't know. I mean, I certainly a deck that it would see great impact in is 3 Death Troopers, 2 copies of Training. That's pretty strong, right? So you've got potentially, if you get these turns 1 and 2, a 5-die Death Trooper deck, just like 2. That's really strong. So I'm not sure how much play it's going to see. I think it will see quite a bit, though. I know I have a deck right now. I've been using FN, Death Trooper, Unkar, and I stuck 2 trainings in them, and every game I've gotten one on a Death Trooper, and it feels pretty darn good to have suddenly, instead of having a 3-die deck, it becomes a 4-die deck, and then I put some weapons on FN, and the dice add up really quickly. It is 2, though. That's really the issue, right? Is your deck making money or not? Because if you want to be playing high-impact weapons on guys, to be able to also play Training, it's you're not playing a weapon unless you're making a lot of money. So that, to me, is where the real question is going to come in. Is it worth it to not play a weapon to play Training? Remember, you can just play a weapon with redeploy. So I don't know. We'll see. I think it's going to see play, though. I think it's going to have a pretty big impact. All right. Well, I think I've got them all. Maybe I missed one. If I did, I'll get it next time. But hopefully you enjoy your Spirit of Rebellion packs this weekend. I know I'm going to 2 events myself. I can't wait. And I got to say, I'm hoping to open C3PO. So hope you're having a great time with all the spoilers. And I'll see you next time on Tiny Grimes Games.